We're going to look at the Tone Gnome Otto Drive today, and we're going to look at some sound examples using a Fender Strat and a Gibson Les Paul. Chosen because they're at opposite ends of the tonal spectrum, the Strat providing the bright, clear, crisp sounds that they're famous for, and the Les Paul a much woodier and more full-bodied tone. Hopefully, you'll be able to tell by the end of the video the variety of tones that the Tone Gnome can produce. Looks a bit scary at first, because we've got 6 knobs on there, we've got 4 switches and 2 foot switches, but in actual fact, if you regard it as 2 separate overdrives in one box, everything becomes a lot simpler. We've got a high gain overdrive on that side of the pedal and a low gain overdrive on that side. The reason for its development was simply that I was trying to get everything out of one overdrive pedal and couldn't find a pedal that did everything I wanted. Even with additional gain boost or level boosts, they never sounded quite right to me. I could never get the EQ to work properly from both halves of the pedal. So eventually, after 3.5 years of sweating and tweaking and scores of gigs, this is the pedal that came into being, and I'll just go through the control functions and the switch functions with you. Either side is the same, so we're looking here. This is the low gain side. We've got a volume control, a drive or gain control, and a tone control, which simply cuts treble. We've also got 2 switches. The one at this side is a 2-position switch, and that alters the diode clipping, which changes the texture of the overdrive. And this switch is an EQ switch, which has 3 positions, and basically it's working on the bass part of the EQ. Over to that side, we've got a mild bass boost. In the middle, we've got no bass boost at all. And then over to this side, we've got the maximum bass boost. Really useful, because usually as you pile on the gain, you need to cut bass to stop things getting muddy, and that switch comes in really useful for that. It's also very handy if you're using something like a Strat or a Les Paul and you need to EQ for that particular guitar. Putting it across the maximum bass boost will really warm up a Strat, and putting it in the middle and cutting the bass boost will make the neck pickup on a Les Paul sound nice and clear. Here we've got an on-off switch, which turns the pedal on and off, just a normal foot switch, and the other switch on the other side toddles between the 2 halves of the pedal. That means you can turn the pedal on and be working with a nice crunchy sound, and then on one switch you can move to a higher gain lead sound. You can also set this more clean and jangly and move to a higher gain lead, and you'll see that demonstrated a little bit later on in the video. So now we're going to take a look at the Les Paul, which is obviously a completely different animal than the Strat. It's a much woodier tone, a deeper tone. And the first thing we're going to look at is the low gain half of the Otto Drive with just a little bit of gain, just to warm it up, so you get that little bit of old amp breaking up kind of tone. And just as a reference, first of all, here's the amp clean without the Otto Drive. And now with the Otto Drive. Okay, here we are now on the low gain half of the Otto Drive with the Les Paul again. We're going to try a little bit of dirty country, but we're going to try 2 different settings, changing the EQ, changing the texture of the clipping. But first of all, let's just hear the Les Paul clean. And now with the first Otto Drive setting. And now we're going to take that from a mild bass boost to a full bass boost and change the texture of the clipping. Okay, we're now going to look at the Otto Drive and one of its primary functions, which is switching between two different levels of gain. Obviously it's handy because you can do this on one foot switching action rather than dancing between two overdrive pedals, and what I'm going to try and demonstrate now is going from a thick gainy kind of sound that you might use for a riff or a lead break, and then going to a more jangly, clear, clean rhythm sound. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're going to have a look now at the lead tones on the Otto Drive pedal. Using the Les Paul again, I'm going to demonstrate the difference between the bridge pickup and the neck pickup. We're using the high gain half of the pedal. We've got the clipping diodes in the sort of normal position with the switch across to the right, and we've got the EQ switch in the middle, because usually with a lot of gain, unless you're looking for a particular effect, it's not a bad idea to cut the bass frequencies, as you will hear. Okay, here we go. And now that same example on the neck pickup. As I said, it's been 3 years in development, perhaps a little bit more now. It's done scores of gigs. I really like the pedal. It does everything I need to do in terms of overdrive, and probably the only two questions to answer are really, is that Father Christmas? No, it's not. Everybody thinks it is. That's a Tone Gnome, that is. And why the Otto Drive? Well, it's called the Otto Drive after my pet cat, Otto, who's probably heard more overdrives than most people have had hot dinners. So thanks for watching the video.